The official visits are piling up, but UCF could have running back help on the way.
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of every single day and for making Locked On the #1 podcast network in the world. Turn us on, turn us up. We'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, James Duncan, UCF sports commentator. Talk a little UCF football here on today's show. We're going to talk about an official visit that I like a lot. And then there were some commits that came in that we'll talk about in the second and third parts of the show here. Let's start at the top. This show is brought to you by our title sponsor, Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Great place to get tickets. We love a Game Time here at Locked On UCF. So if you're trying to get to a game this spring, no matter what it is, Game Time's got you covered. Panoramic seat views, guys, great deals. Prices don't jump at checkout. No hidden fees. Love Game Time here. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time today. Let's start with it. This morning, I woke up to a text message, and the text message said, Mike, I'm going to be at UCF tomorrow. That text message came from one Auburn running back, Damari Alston. He started the season as Auburn's starter at running back. Injuries kind of derailed his season. He redshirted mid-season amid a lot of turmoil at Auburn. But this is a very, very talented former four-star running back that I got to tell you, he is dynamic. Now, I have concerns about durability, but if he's going to stay healthy, if this is the year that he puts it together from a health standpoint, he could be an absolute asset to UCF here. We put that news out this morning. I got to tell you, man, UCF fans seem to like the idea of Damari Alston coming in to complement the current running back room, man. Talk to me about Damari Alston potentially being a UCF Knight here. I think this would be the second biggest pickup of the portal era for UCF behind our guy Barnett III.
Yeah, I mean, Alston is a great talent. You definitely kind of hit it right on the nose. And this is a guy, obviously, that you've watched, as someone that covers Auburn pretty, well. But something that I will note about Alston is he is 5'9", 214. Kind of a, smaller but stocky back. He doesn't have crazy top end speed, but he is very dynamic, like you said. This guy was obviously a 4-star coming out of high school. He was a 3-star in some places, but they're truthfully a 4-star when they're taking visits to Georgia, and this guy had offers from anywhere in the country that people wanted to go. So I think it would be a great compliment to this running back room that you kind of need to fill out a little bit, unexperienced in that room. This guy's a senior. He'd be coming in with experience to kind of lead that backfield. I think it would be a great pickup for the Knights. In terms of what we saw from him last year prior to the injury, had 32 carries on 128 yards on 32 carries, 1 touchdown, averaging about 4 yards a carry. Like I said, that's before an official injury designation of him having to come out of the game. Solid workflow in terms of what he was seeing, early in that season prior to injury. You would love to see him for this Knights team next year, though.
Yeah, look, Damari got hurt in the first game versus Oregon last year, and I can tell you he lost his job to injury. That's pretty essentially what happened there. And at places like Auburn, you get hurt, it's next man up, and they might not look back. And so good players sometimes get lost in this kind of, in the churn, in the injury churn. And look, he's got to stay healthy. That's the bottom line, is he's got to stay healthy if he wants to be a factor for anybody. But for what Scott Frost is trying to build from a culture standpoint, James, Damari Alston is the model student athlete. I'm talking about straight A student. Nobody's going to work harder than this dude in the weight room, on the practice field. He's going to help you continue to build what you're trying to build there in terms of discipline and hard blue collar culture. Going to come to work every single day, and it's going to get it done for UCF here. So now UCF isn't his only visit. He's going to be taking a visit to SMU as well too. I think there's more opportunity for him at UCF personally, but I would like to see him at UCF certainly. Talk to me though about how he complements what's left in that running back room, though, right? Like, what do you see in terms of rotation if you add a guy like Damari Alston, or do you see him maybe taking on a more RJ Harvey kind of load where he is clearly the workhorse back?
Yeah, I think there's probably a chance for a 1A, 1B, 1C next year if Alston comes in. Obviously, you have to wait for somebody to emerge as that winner, and I think that we'll probably see that competition in spring ball. You have an unbelievably talented but raw Tayven Swint, who came in as one of the top recruits UCF had ever recruited at running back, and he comes in, he gets season-ending injury and misses his entire freshman season, takes most likely a medical. And so he's up for his true, I guess, redshirt freshman season next year. He's kind of expected to take a decent amount of carries and expected to emerge himself as the top, as a top 2 running back. They also went out and got Central Arkansas running back Landon Chambers. So that's going to be a competition for any running back that comes in to kind of battle it out with those two. Obviously, you had Ajaman Ade last year come in at the end of the season as a walk-on and actually do pretty well. Other than those guys, though, you're not really necessarily battling it for the true freshman coming in. And you haven't really filled the role of another transfer running back coming in. Now, that doesn't mean that they aren't trying to fill that role. Obviously, with Damari Alston coming and taking a visit, you had Zylan Perry, most likely. I think he came and took a visit here at UCF, or we were at least interested in him from the Ragin' Cajuns. And newly reported, Chris Johnson's son, Chris Johnson Jr., Johnson of the Tennessee Titans, one of the fastest NFL backs to ever play the game. His son is just as fast, has a 98 overall speed in the NCAA college football game. He is coming to take a visit at UCF from SMU.
Yeah, look, look, man, I'm telling you, they needed to do work in the portal. I see it being done here. You make a few good lands. This is a completely different offensive football team here. Now, if you have your quarterback, you start to beef up the running back room. Later in the show, we're going to talk about who's going to be blocking for these guys here. But some news came in late, James, about a commit on the defensive side of the ball. Now, we've praised the defensive side of the ball and their efforts last year, but there's still improvement on that side. We're going to talk about who's coming there for them next on Locked On UCF. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our title sponsor, Game Time. Guys, if you're trying to get to a game, Game Time is the place that you want to be. Just download the app. It makes it so easy. They've got a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite team play even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets trying to find the right seats. They also have a great feature called Zone Deals where you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save crazy on the prices. You get panoramic views before checkout, and they've got a low price guarantee, event cancellation protection. They've got it all here. So if you buy tickets to a game and life happens to you, Game Time has you covered. They don't think you should have to pay for that. Neither do we. Download the Game Time app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's Game Time. Tackett Curtis, the linebacker from Wisconsin, committed to UCF. Talk to me about Tackett Curtis coming in to be a guy on that defense for Alex Grinch here. We got his commitment late last night. I like this kid. I like his measurables, and I think that he potentially adds a lot to that linebacker room.
Yeah, I mean, something to very quickly note is this guy's worked under Grinch before.
Yep.
He comes in as someone that started his career at USC when Grinch was at USC. Grinch goes to Wisconsin. Tackett goes to Wisconsin. Plays under him there for 1 year, and then obviously took kind of a gap year. He played with them without Grinch, and comes in to UCF for his final year of eligibility. I think it's a great opportunity to have someone experienced and that is kind of a veteran in that room. You have Lewis Carter coming back. The talent that Lewis Carter has. So you need someone to play opposite of Lewis Carter, which is important. And having someone that understands scheme, kind of like a Cole Kozlowski, big hitter. He's 6'2", 235. He's not a small guy whatsoever. Can clog passing lanes, get you sacks. This guy, unfortunately, I think has declined in terms of production, which is not what you've seen typically from this Scott Frost staff in terms of recruiting. They are taking guys on the up, and I actually like them taking a chance on a guy that statistically has gone down in production over the past couple of years, because they're taking a guy that understands the scheme that he's coming into and that is able to be an impact player and a leader right away. He's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder because he lost his job early in the year at Wisconsin and didn't get as many snaps as I think he expected. I like big talent. I like big name talent coming from big name schools with people that understand the scheme that we're running. I think this guy is almost an instant plug and play in terms of battling for that opportunity across from Lewis Carter.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's important to note that Curtis is not some like developmental flyer that they're taking a chance on, right? He's a calculated roster addition that they feel like as you mentioned just now, brings Power 5 experience and should be able to add value immediately. He's played meaningful snaps in big games, right? And I think he adds immediate depth and competition on that side here. Again, talk to me about the makeup, similar to what we said with the running back room, the makeup of this linebacker room now, if, adding a guy like Tackett Curtis here and what those rotations look like. You got to be deep on defense. You got to rotate a ton of guys. You got to stay fresh for the fourth quarter. I think Tackett Curtis helps them do that.
Yeah. Well, the linebacker room took a lot of losses this year in terms of what you saw from last year. You don't have Cole Kozlowski anymore, who came on last year as a really big name. Kozlowski was from Colgate, and nobody necessarily expected him to emerge as your linebacker 1/2. I think the plug-in last year was Kelly Lawson, who had a lot of experience from Virginia Tech. You also lose Kelly Lawson to graduation. You lost TJ Bullard to the portal. You keep Lewis Carter. You lose Troy Ford Jr. to the portal. You lose Cam Moore to the portal. You lose Malachi Boone, I believe, to the portal. I think he entered the portal. I'll have to double check that though. Phil Pacoudy is someone that came over from Oklahoma. He hasn't announced that he's staying and or leaving, so we can assume that he's hopefully returning. Jaden McDonald is battling for, I believe, an extra year. On a waiver, and you lose Kaz, and that's all the linebackers you had last year. So you're only really guaranteed to be returning one or two of those guys, including Lewis Carter. So you're going to have to go recruit portal really, really heavy. This is their first linebacker transfer of this portal class is Tacket Curtis. But believe me, when I've reported, on a bunch of guys and, shared a bunch of guys that are taking visits that the school is interested in. They lost out on kind of a big one today, who committed from Bowling Green to Colorado that UCF was in the mix for. But I do believe that UCF is going to continue attacking linebacker in the portal.
Yeah, look, let's get to the break, and when we come back, I want to talk about that offensive line here. We talked about the big pickup at quarterback earlier this week, and we're talking about maybe big pickups at running back. Somebody's got to block for these guys, James, and it looks like UCF is making some progress there. We'll talk about that next right here on Locked On UCF. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and the NFL. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com and check out all the odds that they have there. $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet. Guys, come on. You can't beat that. FanDuel.com. Get in the game today. Beefing up the O-line. We've talked about you've got to dominate the trenches, James. UCF got pushed around on the offensive line, and Scott Frost, it seems like he said enough of that foolishness. We're going to go get some guys. Tyler Gibson has committed to UCF. They posted it up. And Henry Tabonzi also comes in at offensive tackle. What do you talk to me about these two guys, man? Tabonzi is a left tackle. That's pretty massive for them to get. The guy protecting the quarterback's blind side, really important. But Gibson has some skills down there too, man. And I talk about this all the time. You're not going to go out and find 5-star guys at offensive line in the portal, man. Like the 5-star guys are staying home, unless something terrible happens where they're at. But there are really, really good offensive linemen that were either backups and just couldn't crack the lineup, or, they developed along their time here, and the path to playing time is clearer somewhere else. I think UCF got the latter in these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big pickup for sure, and you can obviously tell that they are targeting offensive line. I think this is their third or fourth offensive line pickup of this transfer portal cycle. You're not really returning any starters from last year in terms of offensive line. Guys that played a lot of meaningful snaps. I mean, Gibson came from Charlotte. He started his career at Georgia Tech. He's 6'5", 310 pounds, offensive tackle. He played meaningful snaps for Charlotte and, played pretty well as well. I think the big hitter for me here is Henry Tabonzi. Left tackle is probably the most crucial, that and center are the two most crucial positions on the offensive line in terms of protecting your quarterback and opening, the left tackle, you'd be opening the B gap. And so that's very important for this run scheme that we have, as well as pass blocking. Henry Tabonzi was a 2-year starter at Buffalo and played really well in those 2 years. You need to bring experience to the left tackle position. That's why we started Rubelt. Despite his grades, he had a lot of experience. And so you always want experience at left tackle because that is the anchor in terms of your offensive line. And that is the person protecting the QB's blind side. Obviously, QBs got hit a lot last year. That is why some of them are in the portal. Notably, almost all of them in the portal. Speaking of which, congratulations to Jacurri Brown.
I saw that, yeah,
Jacurri committed to Rice today, which was great. I hope that he's used well in that offense. That guy is a freak athlete. Cam Fancher commits to Michigan State University. Good for him, keeping it in the Power 5. That is not something that I think a lot of people saw coming. But good for him. I'm glad that he was able to get over there and hopefully he's able to make a splash over there. Carter Miller, UCF's old center, who got a Knight tatted on his body prior to the season, leaves and goes to the South Carolina Gamecocks. So you've got guys going all over, and it's good to see that some of these former UCF guys are going and finding homes in the portal. But in terms of guys that we're bringing in big O linemen.
The tragic passing of Sean Clark. Obviously, they lost their position coach last season here. But look, the offensive line was probably the worst unit on the team. They were, I mean, in terms of play and production, great guys, right? As far as play is concerned, and we keep it play. We don't make it personal, just about play. They were not good driving QBs to the portal, man. Like it was, and to injury. It was baffling how that, poorly they played at times. So this was always a situation where you were going to have to at least, James, somewhat blow it up and start over. Right. Like, and that's exactly what UCF is doing here. But you have more recourse to figure it out now with the portal here and go out and potentially put together a really good starting offensive line, give them the spring and the summer to gel. And the great thing about going to the portal to get these guys and not having to start a bunch of freshmen that you recruited from high school is physically they're going to be more ready for Power 4 football here come the fall. So final thoughts before we get out of here, man. Quick hitter today, updating fans on the commitments. We're going to be doing a lot of shows here, guys. So hang with us, man. As the commitments come in, we're going to be doing shows. As I mentioned at the top of the show, former Auburn running back Damari Alston will be visiting UCF tomorrow. He's got a official, I think, schedule with SMU as well, too. I hope that they can get him in the fold here and continue to stack talent. UCF is a place, for what it's worth, he asked me my opinion, and I told him, I said, but if I had to pick between the two right now, I'm blazing my own trail at UCF. I'm telling you, I'm going to UCF.
And we thank you for that, Mike.
Yeah, right. Like if you're asking my opinion, I think UCF over SMU. Personally, I like what these guys are building down there, and I think that he's got skills. He's an underrated pass catcher. I think he's got skills that fit well in what those guys are trying to do. So, we'll see how it goes out. Again, final thoughts here, man, on the pickups that we've gotten so far. Is Scott Frost on the right track?
Yeah, and I don't think, I don't mean to be harsh, but I don't think a lot of people expected the portal to be this active for UCF. I don't think a lot of people expected this class. We've gotten a lot of comments lately about people saying, I didn't think things would fall into place like this. I didn't think that this would happen. And all I can say is that I think that's not a unshared thought process. I think a lot of people didn't expect it to be this way, and I'm just very happy it is. I do know that, some people, I know fans watch our show. I know some people from the university watch our show, but to the players that watch our show, I just want to say thank you for your time here at UCF. If you return to UCF, I appreciate it. If you have gotten in the portal and you are going somewhere else, Locked On UCF wishes you the absolute best. We hope that you succeed at your new location. And if you are planning on taking a visit here, or you're interested in UCF, come here, man. This is where people are able to succeed because they get playing time, they get opportunities, and you will have an opportunity if you come here. We're excited for this next year, and you're going to have every fan behind you if you come here. So, we appreciate it. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Look, come talk to us here at Locked On UCF as well, too, before you make that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We never mind that. We're going to go on and get out of here. James Duncan, UCF sports commentator, I want to thank you for joining me on today's show to update fans on all the portal commitments. We're going to stay on it this portal season. I think the portal closes on the 16th. Yep, it closes on the 16th. So we've got about 11 to 12 more days of portal action here. It's going to be a busy one for UCF, which means it's going to be busy for us here at Locked On UCF. Thank you for making us your first listen and your last listen of every single day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 podcast network in the country. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On UCF.